Hey there, everyone, and welcome once again to Mark My Words, the podcast series offering a glimpse into alternative paradigms hiding just beneath the surface of everyday life, where our first question of the day is always, what if? And for me, this is Paul Uhrig, and I am going to remind all of us that if you were in took the time to take a look at the last episode, episode 14, discussed, we got really deep into the notion of higher truth and the existence of the therefore a higher lie. And this episode that we're going to hit right now kind of zeroes in on any of the other options that we as individuals choose once that information is recognized. So let's all put our thinking caps on. Let's get back with Mark Cornelius, who's the author of RUT Management. And Mark, you're going to bring all of this series back to where we started. And it is my understanding we're going to place some of these things, or at least you're going to make the suggestions for us to place some of these elements that we've been discussing back along the rut path. So, Mark, I'm going to turn this back over to you. Welcome and have at it.
Thanks a lot, Paul. And I'm going to do a little bit of a spoiler alert here in that, honestly, we've never left the rut path. We've been on it the whole time.
So true.
Covering a lot of topics that fit within those parameters. So, yeah, here we go. And by the way, thanks for everyone joining in the last time. We had tremendous response or at least interest in what was going on. And we'll hope to keep you all thinking and get your brain smoking a little bit. And would love to hear from anyone on opinions or thoughts or impressions of what we are dealing with here. So I'm going to start with that always interesting teaser segment that we do. And I'm going to go right back to what we were talking about with rut management. And that is the rut, by the way, the repetitive, unchanging trajectory, got that one out, is something that we have talked about a lot. And if I am on a good rut or in a good rut, and I'm traveling something that's very proven and reliable in its path, because others have traveled it before and it worked, right? Why should I change course? Why do that, right? I mean, we're in a good place, so we shouldn't have any problem with that. If you'll remember, we have this thing, and that is the RUT map. Is it showing up there, Paul? Am I doing okay?
Oh yeah, you're perfect. As a matter of fact, I'll just give you a shout if there's something that
15 episodes to get this thing working, but hey, that's part of the RUT too. Practice. So, if you're on your quest and you're trying to get to your gonna be, you start off with this whole concept of I want to be first. And you're moving along and you have to do what we've done a lot through this whole series is repair some things and reconsider some things, rethink some things, thinkers. Okay. And along the way, we're going to get held up because of traditions are going to bog us down a little bit. I don't think I've ever thrown in traditions into the pit there, but we do. We've always done it this way. Have you ever uttered those words or heard those words uttered? We've always done it this way. Is that a good thing? Maybe it is. That's fine. But maybe, just maybe, we want to wade through that and get to the other side and cross a bridge to check it out and see if there's another way, another part of the path we haven't considered in the new rut. So, anyway, to do this, we're going to be using a couple of things here. okay, we've already talked about RUT management, right? So that's something we brought in. And this is not self-serving. Encourage you to read the book, but if you don't, you don't. We're going to cover a lot of it, in our episodes, but would challenge you to find other reading on how to create a better destination for yourself. Not just chase one blindly, but think about it, and look at it, and weigh it, and unmeasure it. That's a thought. You go, what? What's he talking about? Okay, so anyway, excuse me while I get to a lot of different areas here, and I'm going to pull down. I'm sorry, you're getting to read all of my episodic stuff here. And there is somewhere in here. Yeah, there it is. Sorry. I have to. All right, so we're going to review here. We have marginalization, which is the other point of this. When I say marginalization, I'm talking about what we discussed with another book. Oop, I'm sorry. There we go. Ha ha. What this is the idea that we tend to dismiss people, ideas, and concepts that don't fit into our comfortable zone, right? We dismiss them. Not that we should endorse them or embrace them, but we dismiss them altogether. We don't even consider what people who are of a different thought pattern than we are, or a different belief pattern than we don't even consider them because, well, that could get dangerous. Who knows? We might tend to agree with them, or maybe we'll continue to disagree with them, but they may also then be led to consider their prospects and aspects, right? So that's another part of this. Then the additional part of that is taking the measuring part of this or the unmeasuring part of this. Unmeasuring is the idea that instead of me trying to impose my beliefs on someone, that we start listening to one another and we start understanding the story of the background of each individual, how they came to their opinions. I'm not interested, Paul. I'm sorry. I really don't care about your opinions on things. I am much more, well, I'll say I am less concerned with that, but I am highly concerned with getting to know how you came to be who you are. Because that tells me a whole lot more about what we have in common, what we don't, why we do, and why we don't. The opinions will come later. We might even conclude that we have a lot of shared opinions. Doesn't matter. Unmeasuring is what covers that whole gamut. Take away our old predisposed ideas. I'm not saying to abandon your beliefs. I am saying to stand back for a moment and think and weigh and evaluate in an unmeasured way. It's a paradigm shift that takes a lot of grasping to go through. Did for me anyway. I don't know, maybe some of the rest of you are quicker thinkers than I am, but I suspect we all run into this from time to time, right? So, all that being said, we're going to do something here. By the way, I thought of a new word today. I didn't think of it, somebody else did. But this is the danger that we all get into, becoming superannuated. Woo! Get with me. Okay. I don't want to become out of date or too old or irrelevant. All right. I don't want my ideas to be that way. That takes reconsideration so that my wannabe is going to be something that changes to my gonna be over and over again. I have to keep on rethinking in order to test to see if I am on the right path. Make sense? How am I doing,
So
Paul?
so far so good, and I'm loving this thing about this notion of superannuated, because unless we
Okay, I threw a good word at you there.
oh absolutely, and of course when we look at our intimate or our personal histories or something like that, many times we focus upon those elements in our personal history that we think may have shaped us, but we may have changed our perception of how those things actually shaped us.
Indeed, they do. So, um, hold on here. Somewhere in here, of course, I did not pull it up correctly, so I'm gonna. Oh, there it is. Hold on here. I've got to come in here and pull up another. Here we are. Sorry. Keep on hanging in there, folks. We are
You're
getting.
good. I'm riveted.
All right. Rivet away. So, as we go, what do these things that we've thrown at, and discerning truth, remember we talked about that, and discerning lies, what do they have to do with rut management overall? So, if I'm going to achieve my desired gonna be, I better continuously review my wannabe, just like we just spoke about. However, how do I critically think through that rut journey? How do I do that? It's one thing to throw these, either old or new terms out, but how do I become less superannuated and and find relevance on my journey? Remember we talked about deductive reasoning, right? So I'm going to deduct something, true or not.
It should be true.
Oh, ooh, you put a qualifier in there, Paul.
You bet.
Okay.
Because is it not all subjective, or perhaps maybe deals with other emotions that kind of play into the way that we judge ourselves?
In my new home in South Dakota, have come to meet some very self reliant people. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. They're called farmers. And you know what? If I were a farmer, I'd have to think of myself as self reliant too. The trouble comes in when I get out of my known comfort zone, where there are things I don't understand, or there are things that seem to get in the way of my accomplishing my farming. Like, oh, I don't know what, the weather. Okay. So I I'm not very good at predicting the weather. I can see what's right around me, but I don't know how that works. And, quite frankly, I don't think the Weather Channel always has it right either. But I can go to different sources, and that way I find the help I need. And that's what we're all doing, isn't it? We're trying to find those resources and admit, I don't have a bead on the perfect life. I don't. I need help. So that's my deductive reasoning. And then I have to induce something, inductive reasoning. And that means the right rut does exist. It's out there, just as I just said. And unless I'm willing to risk being a trailblazer, which a lot of people think they are, they're thinkers. You go out there, you go, yeah, I'm a trailblazer. I really challenge you to rethink that. A trailblazer doesn't go by any path whatsoever. They're trying something brand new, highly risky, and highly alienating to other people because they say, I don't want to be around that guy. He's going to put me in a risk situation. Okay? A good rut manager follows, and to their credit, there are trailblazers out there who ultimately are the ones who created a path for others to follow. Admit that, accept that, and don't try to be that unless you really want to be alone. If you really want to be alone and quote unquote self sufficient, go for it. You're going to be alone. But if you are a rut traveler, you're going to follow that person, find the others who are going to share that journey with you. So you get from your wannabe to your gonna be. All right. So this is where we're headed, right? We've got we've done a lot of traveling on this rutted path, and I think that's a huge thing to consider. Hold on here, I'm going to get to the rutted path. There we are.
Ah,
All right, I probably have burned into my brain this map so I can pull it up whenever I want. We've taken side trips. We considered a lot of things. Do we need to take a new rut? Maybe, but on the ultimate is to get here. What is this? What's my gonna be? So we've gone through the gonna be exercise. We've listed out some of the things to consider in that. How do we do that best? We're going to have to get in the practice of critically thinking through every step of the way, because I have this little side trip situated right up here closer to the destination. What happens if the side trip comes up here, or if it's before the pit? What happens if the route I'm taking takes a turn I'm not expecting? Think about that, thinkers. You know, I've made this pretty little map out here. Your map is probably going to look a little bit different than my map, and for that matter, your map may not look at all like you imagine it to look like. It may change in ways, and you may have multiple pits along the way. You may have landmarks that you didn't even realize were landmarks. You might need a lot more repair or a lot less. So, critical thinking is what this is all about. We're going to look at that and examine a new paradigm, a new way of considering that. In the meantime, we found out that there's a possibility that a lot of what I know may be very, very true. Or it may be because of my past nature, it might all be a lie. Might all be. Those are the higher things. What I want us to do is together do exactly what we talked about, find that higher purpose, that thing we can share together, so that my gonna be might also be a portion of our gonna be. Oh, you are.
something collective there, Mark, just to remind the listener too, as well. You have discussed this prior to in several of the earlier episodes of how you share a rut path, or how someone may try to, at least for a short period of time, perhaps hijack your rut. And I'm sure that these are all things that are along the path that you are going to be talking about in some of the next episodes that we go into with marginalization, with unmeasuring.
I certainly hope so. So, yes, and that is where we get into the big question of, oh, seems like somehow I got out of that. Hold on, I'm going to get us into a brand new thing here. I think. All right. Nope. Come on, Marcus. Think. There we go.
Hey, you're doing just fine. It's like relocating.
Okay, there's
There
the
we go.
yeah. So we had talked about the wannabe exercise. Let me blow that up a little bit. Just as a refresher, think about what your wannabe is going to be. What are you really trying to accomplish? And what's so cool and exciting about that? Remember, this is a dream. This is a great thing. Don't don't dismiss those things that made you as a kid want to be a fireman or a policeman or a dentist or whatever, a doctor. Don't forget about those, but keep reminding yourself, say, do I still want to chase that dream or another one? And then when you look back, how do you act out that part? Okay? How did it make you feel when others around you heard about your I want to be? And did that change you in any way? Did it discourage you, encourage you? Don't be marginalized by other people or by your own thinking. Take that away and start looking at how to listen to yourself and to others, and possibly consider this in a way that will help you and them share a rut together. All right. So, all of that being said, you're going to ask me where all this stuff comes from. Where did he make all this stuff up from? Well, some of it is not made up. Some of it is based on a lot of experience, not just mine, but others. And that's what I want you to think about, thinkers. So, if you ever really want to dive into this, you probably need to go to the website RUT Management. RUT Management will give you a lot of different resources to consider. Um, you can email us and we can talk about it some more. You can go to our Facebook page and there's a lot of material on that. Or you can go to our YouTube site, and that YouTube site is going to give you a series of considerations, segments, if you will, starting with rut management and what that means, all the way up to the idea of the greater truth and the greater lie. What that requires us to do is to create a covenant relationship, and you'll get the chance to consider whether you think that's of value or whether you're just happy going along in your contract relationship. Well, that's going to get somebody's attention, isn't it, Paul?
I think so. I think that that may revert back to a couple of our more recent episodes, Mark. And of course, as you mentioned, there are additional resources that are on the YouTube channel as well. I think you have placed some other suggestions and thoughts up there. We encourage everyone to take a peek at them because they may prove to be valuable to you when you're thinking about your wannabe, and also when you're en route to your gonna be. So, Mark, do you have anything else to add for this particular episode, or shall we close up the session for the
I,
critical thinkers here?
I just hope that each of you seek not to become superannuated until our next episode, and then we'll give you some more food to help you become. Let's see, if you're not superannuated, That means you're subannuated, I guess.
I think you're up to those shenanigans of making up another word on there, Mark.
Hey, all words are made up, Paul. Just make sure.
That's exactly right. They got to start somewhere, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you for the advice here. Thanks for the review, because I'm sure that there are a lot of folks that are out there, especially the viewers that have followed this from episode 1. Once again, thank you folks for listening. But I believe you've helped to wrap up and to actually review rather than wrap up, because without assuming, this consideration is ongoing. And we hope that you folks will not only join us for the next episode, but we'll go back and take a peek at some of the other ones, perhaps that you have either overlooked or have not become familiar with. So, Mark, I'm going to let you close us out over here, but I sure appreciate your time today.
And indeed to you too. Thanks a lot, and keep thinking, thinkers.